Well, hello again. So we're back, and as I said a few minutes ago, we did like a little bit of a check-in, and we troubleshoot some problems with browsers. This is a good thing to know. Don't use Firefox. Use Chrome for when you're using Canvas. And without further ado, I would like to introduce to my left Ms. Vicky Domansky, Senior Program Assistant with Professional Development and Community Engagement at UBC, and we work together as a team. My name is Dr. Mari Pigini, and I am the cohort advisor for the online cohorts, the Master's Online in Early Childhood Education. So this session will begin with some information about the admission that I know you're eager to know, and we have your questions. If whatever is not covered through the presentation, we will address soon after. So without further ado, Vicky Domansky.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. So the Unread Early Childhood Education online cohort, the program starts next September 2020. It's a 2.5-year program, and it is both online and part-time. So you will not be coming to campus at any point unless you should choose to take an extra course. We have some summer institutes that you might be interested in. The program is only available part-time. We did have a few questions, people asking about full-time, but this particular cohort is on a set schedule, a set part-time schedule. For admissions requirements, we are looking for a 4-year undergraduate degree that has a B+, which is 76% at UBC or higher, and all of your senior level coursework, that's 300 level and above, or the B range, which is around 68% at UBC, with a 4-year undergraduate degree and a B.Ed. If you don't meet those, either the 76% or the 68% plus a B.Ed, your application would be considered a special case. In that case, the admissions committee would evaluate your application and to determine if you're a good candidate for the program. And if you are, they'll write what we call a special case rationale on behalf of your application, which will go to faculty, graduate, and postdoctoral studies to recommend you for admission to the program. So, don't get too hung up on the GPA. It is important, but if you're not quite there, there is still an opportunity for you to be admitted. We look at the applications as a whole. There are other parts of the application which also are an important part, and I'll be talking about those shortly. So one of the things that we'll be asking as part of your application will be for you to order 2 copies of official sealed transcripts from all post-secondary institutions that you've attended, with the exception of UBC, as we already have access to UBC records. So that's any post-secondary courses you may have taken or professional development. All of these can help support your application. When you receive your official transcripts, they'll come in sealed endorsed envelopes. Make sure you keep one that you do not open. The other one you'll open and scan, and you need to upload both the front and back copies of each of those transcripts to your application. The back of the application has I need the mouse, sorry. The mouse?
Oh, Vincent?
Yes, I need the mouse, sorry. The back of your transcript has the transcript key, which has all the information that we need to calculate your GPA as it compares to UBC. So as I said, you don't open the second envelope. If you're admitted to the program, you'll be asked to send that envelope to UBC, to the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, where it will be validated compared with your online upload, and they will approve. It will be the official official copy. You don't send any transcripts to myself or Dr. Pagini. The first copy gets uploaded online, and then the second copy will go to postdoctoral studies, so graduate postdoctoral studies. So nothing comes to the program itself. And you also want to make sure that your transcripts say that you've graduated. Sometimes we get transcripts and they don't actually indicate that your transcript's been conferred. The transcripts need to indicate that, or you send there may be a certificate that you get that indicates that you've received your degree diploma. Okay. So, if you happen to have a degree which is an unrelated field, such as arts, commerce, general studies, those degrees can be accepted if you've completed a college or university certificate program in UBC, early childhood education. You must have had at least 18 credits in childhood courses. Mari, did you want to add anything to that? The unrelated fields?
In early childhood education, and also I think it does matter where did they take their degree.
Yeah, it needs to be a UBC recognized post-secondary institution.
Exactly.
If it is not, it still may be possible, but what graduate and postdoctoral studies has told us is if you are lacking in one area, you can be considered a special case. So if your GPA is low, that's fine. But if your GPA is a little bit low and you're not from a recognized institution, that's two issues, and that becomes more problematic. So, you want to try to meet those requirements, because while we can put forward a special case, we can't guarantee it. Sorry, I'll try to speak up as well. So part of the requirements for your application is a 500-word statement of intent, which should include your professional goals, why you're interested in the program, why UBC's program is the best fit, and why you're a good fit for the program. Mari, did you have any comments about that, the statement of intent?
Yes, the statement of intent is very, very important, because this is where you articulate what is it that brings you to this program. Is it wanting to further your education? Is it, passion for a certain field? So try to articulate it as clearly as you can, and make sure that, your resume that accompanies this statement sort of connects with what you're saying. Yes.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Then you'll also need to include a copy of your resume or CV. This will include your education, your coursework, employment history, volunteer work, or anything else that's related. If you've had any publications, if you have a blog or a newsletter or website, anything that you do that's related to the program, might be early childhood, education, any of those types of things. Mari, anything else to add to that?
Well, yes, some people, if they have had like a professional publication, or if they are engaged in a particular movement or activity, all of that should be featured in their CV. Anything that showcases, and adds to your statement of intent and your application that is related, but pretty much covered. Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. The next part is a 500-word description of a topic that you're interested in early childhood education that you would like to study in depth for the program. So it could be play, outdoor education, social justice, any number of topics that might be related to early childhood education, something that you have an interest or passion in pursuing, and that, I believe, could go towards your final special, the graduating project, the capstone.
Exactly. The e-portfolio capstone project, really, it's a accumulation and a compilation of the work that you do during your master's program. So any of your interests, you will be bringing them to the different courses and writing about it in different assignments. And so that means that as you progress in your program, then you can bring these areas of interest or of passion in your different assignments that then will build up as artifacts for your e-portfolio. We can talk more about that later too. Yes. I keep receiving messages that they hear someone typing, and
I think that's me.
yes, but you shouldn't be able to hear someone
Oh,
typing, but you are.
There's microphone right above.
The microphones, yes, yes.
Try to-
Oh, the microphone's picking up my typing?
Yeah,
Yes.
apparently.
And it's making it hard for them to hear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Someone was typing. We
Yeah.
know who it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the next part of your application is a sample of academic or professional writing. This could be a term paper from a course you've taken, a substantial scholarly paper. It should be on an early childhood education topic, and any of your sources should be cited as normal. If you don't have something, sometimes it may be a while since you've been in a program, and you might not have any recent papers. We do have on our website, there are 2 links to ECE-related articles, and we've got instructions out there. You can do a scholarly summary of one of those 2 documents and submit that as your sample of professional writing.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so we received some applicants concerns, like I wrote something, 10 years ago, or this is not current, or I wasn't really happy with whatever my last paper, or I don't have any paper. So those options will provide you with an idea and a topic to which you could write.
Great. So the next part of the application is your professional experience working with young children. We ask for 2 years, 2 or more years of paid work experience, not just volunteer. It needs to be in a professional setting, such as a daycare, preschool, Strong Start. It could be counseling children. There's a variety of
Out of school
yeah,
care, yeah.
yeah, any of those things. Yeah.
Yes, there's many child related settings that are that will be considered. So it's not necessarily a preschool, a daycare, or a school. So, but it is important. And there was a question from someone coming from high school education about being able to apply to this program, and the application. The, that educational component could be looked at with specific information. However, the professional experience working with young children between birth and 8, 9 years old, that is a requirement. So that's regarding one of the questions that I received. I want to thank all the ETS and AV team for helping us today with that glitch at the beginning as they leave right now. Thank you. Thank you.
So the next part of your application are references. We ask for 1 academic and 2 professional references. Your professional references should be from someone who supervised you and can speak, to your engagement with early childhood education or the related field. Sometimes people may not have, if you say run your own daycare, might be a problem for that. So that's where it can be a little tricky. Mari, if you want to.
Yes, we have been very creative for these references. So the academic reference, so there could be 2 types of difficulties. One is that you are no longer in contact with whoever was your supervisor or any of your professors in the past. First of all, I want to encourage you to find one of those people, because I receive constantly from students saying, I was your student, way back when, and do you remember me? And then they send me, the paper that they wrote or the course information, and I am able to actually write something about them in general. But if you can't, then you need to have, then your next choice is that someone that knows you like at a professional level, administrative capacity, and can speak to your scholarly work. So not only of your professional work. So that would be someone who would speak to your capacity to write, to organize ideas, to maintain an argument, and so forth. In regards to the professional references, and we have had situations of someone who owns their own childcare setting or manages their own program, like Vicky's mentioning. And so what we have invited is to see if there is a board of directors, or a parent council, or someone who is not yourself providing the recommendation, but someone who is connected to that setting, or a previous work that you have had, or someone maybe that you have provided some consultation services to an agency. So it is important to have, one of those. Of course, once we enter into these categories, we go into the special cases.
Right.
So,
Okay. So, now then there's the English language requirement. So if you are coming from a university or institution which where English is not the primary language of instruction, UBC requires proof that you meet the UBC's English language requirements. This would be through a test, an English language test, either the TOEFL or the IELTS academic test. Must have been taken within the last 24 months of the time of submission of your application. So if you have any questions about that, you can contact me directly. But in general, we do have the information on our website, and as well on the Graduate Studies website. I can send it to you if you need it. You would basically take the test. Your test results are submitted to UBC electronically, and then it's uploaded into your application. So you would take the test, put your results, the unofficial results, in your application, and then your official results will be uploaded and verified, similar to the way the transcripts work.
and there was a question, Vicky, about taking the English provincial exam instead, in English 12. So I am imagining the person who asked had already completed a program here in BC or in Canada, and so then it would be a yes for them.
Well,
unless
if they've been admitted to UBC, if you've been admitted to UBC previously, you don't need to provide the English language proficiency requirement. But graduate studies, postdoctoral graduate studies, will not accept just the English language. You need to have the it's the graduate level of English requirement. So you do need to do. So that's where, contact me directly. We can talk about what you've got and whether we can find a way to work that into it.
And just to reiterate, this requirement is only for ELL, for English as language learners or English as a second language speakers.
It's where your institution where you received your degree. If you received your degree in the United Kingdom, the United States, in Canada, where English is the primary language of instruction, it could be other countries, Nigeria, for example. I know offhand, all of those institutions, English is recognized by UBC as confirmed that English is the primary language of instruction. If you've successfully completed your 4-year degree there, that is enough to show UBC. If, however, say you took it from another country in another language, perhaps you were in France or Mexico or any other country, you've had your transcripts translated, and you may speak English very well. Unfortunately, UBC still requires you to provide that proof, and in most cases, the test is the only thing that they will accept at the graduate level. Yeah.
Yes. Shalini had a question. They raised their hands, but I think now they left the session, so we will wait.
They've been going in and out. I think they may have been having some connection problems.
Okay.
What's the requirement for IELTS? Let me take a quick look if I have it on hand here.
And that is something that I can add here as well. And then if for whatever reason there's more specification for IELTS, we can get back to you as well.
As I say, we do have all of this information on our website. I can get it for you pretty quickly. So IELTS overall score 6.5 with no parts lower than 6 is the requirement. And that is one thing where it's, if your test does not meet any one of those requirements, it's very difficult. Like, it becomes harder for it to be a special case. English language is very important.
Very important. Yes.
Because you're doing everything online, so you need to be able to communicate clearly and for us to be able to communicate with you. Okay, so on to the application. When the time comes to apply, the link is up there where you're going to apply to. We also have a link on our website. Make sure that you choose the Master of Education in Early Childhood Education Professional Cohort, or search for EC20 and for the September start. There are multiple degrees. We also have an on-campus degree, which just is Master of Education, Early Childhood Education. We have had some issues in the past where someone's actually used the wrong application form.
Yeah.
If you find out that that's happened, let me know. I can transfer it, but you do want to make sure you're applying to the program that you really want to be taking. If you've ever applied to UBC in the past and been given a UBC ID, or you've taken courses through UBC, make sure you use that UBC student number. If you can't find it, you can contact me and I can try to track it down for you. That will avoid any issues where you end up with two student numbers and then have to do a merging thing. It causes endless problems. So just, if you don't know, if you're not sure, just email me. You'll have my contact information at the end of the presentation. Make sure you upload all your supporting documents. You can submit your application without those and then fill in those documents as you have time. January 31st is the deadline to finish your application, to submit the application. You have actually 2 more weeks to get things like the final reference letters and your English language test scores to arrive. But everything else should be in by January 31st.
I have one. One of the questions that came in is that for people who apply to the MED, which is the Master's in Early Childhood Education, in our case it's called the Professional Cohort because that's the one that will take you to EC20, which is the online program. But someone was asking if they applied for this program and they were accepted, could they then transfer to an MA? And I wanted to say that it's better actually if you decide ahead of time which program do you want to apply. The MA is offered on campus and it has a different set of requirements. So it is not impossible to be transferred later on to the MA, which is not offered online, it's on campus, but it requires paperwork and it's not guaranteed. So I would say if you have doubts before you apply, please talk to one of us. And
someone asked if you could apply for more than one of our programs. If you're not sure or you want to hedge your bets, and you're local, because obviously you're okay with coming. So we have the MEd, which is online, and then we have an MEd on campus, and the MA is on campus. We have had people apply for more than one, like the MEd online or on campus. I don't think that for the MEd, I don't think there's any advantage to that.
No.
If you meet the requirements, I think you would be admitted to whichever one.
The
MA, if you're not sure, if you really prefer MA, but you don't know if you would meet the requirements, you could also apply for the MEd. But as Mari said, better to choose the program that you really want, because from the application or admissions committee, it's sometimes confusing because your application should be written to support the program you're joining, and it can be a little hard to sort of justify one program over the other when you're applying for both. So.
Perfect. There is a question, I already answered the question about the UBC ID, but there's also a question, what is the difference between part-time and full-time? So part-time means that as a cohort, you only take one course at a time, and I will go over that when I describe the program, except when you take your electives, whereas in a full-time master's, you take 2 to 3 courses, it's even accepted up to 4 courses at a time per term. So in the on-campus, you can do full-time, and you can actually condense your program in a shorter time. And in the online program, you cannot rush the program. It is exactly the length that Vicky explained before, 2.5 academic years. and you take one cohort core course at a time. So that's the difference between part and full-time.
And that's the part-time versus full-time is where transferring between the MA and the MEd online can be a bit problematic because your fee schedule is different. You pay less per term for the part-time, but you're required to pay longer. So the switching between them can be a little tricky.
It can be tricky,
yeah.
Yes.
So applications are open now. The deadline, as I said before, is January 31st. The application fee for domestic, $106, for international, $168.25, that's Canadian. And when you make sure you hit submit, and then it will ask you to pay your fees. Sometimes people, they get to a certain point and they think they've submitted, but make sure you go all the way because you do have that deadline.
Yeah. And I wanted to add, because I remember the similar issue in the past applications. Some students do not submit the application because they don't have all the supporting documents, and so they're hanging in there. But if you submit your application and you know that the other documents are coming next, if you're sure that you're doing this, it's better because then your application is already in. And then Vicky, when monitoring the application, should know, okay, so the student is missing these papers, this paperwork, but the application is here. So I would advise, if you're sure that you want to apply, to complete your application and then produce whatever is needed.
Then you fill in the supporting documents as you receive them. Okay, so on to tuition, an important part, unless there's.
Yeah, let's see. Can we take the elective classes without applying to the program until next year? I'm going to talk about this in the program description.
Yeah.
So this is part of what I will speak. So just to not interrupt the flow with the tuition, because we separate more into the logistics and the more of the program. So I have that question, and I will remember, Sarah, when I get to that very soon. Thank you.
Okay, so domestic tuition, all tuition, regardless, domestic or international, is done on an annual basis where it's paid in 3 installments per year, September, January, and May. It is for domestic, that's $1892.62 per term, or per term, per installment, plus your student fees, for a total on an annual basis, which is about, for the whole program, it's about $15,140, as it's up there. International, the tuition fee is currently $1929.73 per term plus student fees, for a total of $15,437.84 Canadian for the program. Keep in mind, UBC does generally review tuition every year, and it often will go up 1 to 2%. It's usually not a lot, but it likely will go up most years. Student fees will vary from term to term. In your first term, September, it's a little higher because student fees are made up of quite a lengthy list of things from the Graduate Student Association and the EMS and various things. They include a wide variety of student-supported programs, as well as things like transit passes and health, medical, and dental, and all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Some are optional, and you can opt out of them. You will be by default charged everything. And then you need to go into the Student Services Center, take a look, and there are certain ones that we flagged as optional, and you can opt out. So if you are, in Calgary, you're not going to want to have a bus pass for Vancouver, so you'll want to opt out on that. And that's actually one of the higher things. I think it's like $84 a month. If you have medical and dental through your employer, through your spouse, you may not want to pay for UBC, but maybe you don't have it, or maybe you want to take advantage of the student package to supplement what you already have. That's a personal decision. You will need to deal with that. But that's why, so the September one, I took a look, and in the past term, September, it was about $542, including everything, no opt-out. And in January, it was just over $200. Summer, it's about another just under $200 again, mostly including including the bus passes and whatnot. So you can think of that on top. You just need to be aware of it. Of course, there may be textbook requirements and whatnot. That'll vary from course to course. I don't think very many of the courses, do many of the EC20 courses have textbook?
Most master's courses
Don't have a textbook.
don't need a textbook. I think there is one for sure that I know that has required a textbook. The other ones, the readings are provided through the UBC library and they're free. You get your CWL with your campus-wide login, and then you can download all the materials from there. Yes.
Okay, great.
It's important about the credit per credit basis. Yes. And let's see, is there an online full-time program?
No,
No.
we do not. As
No.
I said before, the online program is part-time. The on-campus programs are by default full-time. You can opt to part-time, but for the online is part-time. And as Mari was just saying, tuition is charged as a whole program fee. It's not a per credit basis. So with that, actually, it's to your advantage because that means if you wanted to take an extra course for whatever reason, you could potentially take an extra course. The program itself is spaced out. Every term has a certain schedule plus your 2 electives, which Mari will speak to later. But maybe you want to take a summer institute. If you're taking it for credit, there's no extra cost to you coming to Vancouver because it's already included in your program fee.
And we have also had students, for example, in BC, who would like to obtain not only their master's, but their early childhood education assistant or diploma. And so, because their workload at the time is not too bad, they ask for permission and they take the courses, also corresponding to that program, which will be one course extra at the time. And so it's all in conversation with their advisor. But because you pay for installments, this is something that you could be considering. So.
Okay, so we've already talked about student fee. So medical dental plan is currently about $257 per year. Again, you can opt out on that. And that is as a whole chunk in the September to December, which is why the September payment is quite a bit higher. There's the Compass card, which is the transit pass for Vancouver. Unfortunately, if you happen to be located in the Lower Mainland, that you're not able to opt out. Hopefully you would make use of the transit pass, but part of the agreement with TransLink is that anyone in the Lower Mainland is required to take that. So it does give you a three zone pass at a really great rate, though.
Yes, a better rate.
So yeah, it's an incredible rate. 164 for 4 months is way better. Like it's less than half of a 1 zone pass.
Exactly.
So yeah.
But you can opt out if you don't live in the Lower
Mainland. But you must do it every term. So every September, January, and May. Otherwise, it will require you to pay for it. So if any of you is a teacher in the Lower Mainland who has taken UBC students as practicum students, student teachers in your classroom, you may have a teacher education certificate. You can potentially apply those to your program. You would need to contact the teacher education office. Their email address is teacher.ed@ubc.ca, or you can talk to Rod Brown, the program coordinator. His phone number is here with his email address. You'll be able to see this all on the recording, and we'll have this PowerPoint will be up on the website so you can get this contact information from there. And I think that's just about it. So here's my information again, Vicki Demansky, and my phone number is here. You're welcome to give me a call. Our email address for the program is eced.educ@ubc.ca. This is the main program website. There is also an early childhood website. I'm just going to write it in here. It's not letting me.
You want to? I can do
no,
it here.
Yeah, if you want to type it in, just typing it in the wrong place. So.
Vicki, I was thinking that at the beginning, some information was lost because of the volumes, and we also had some questions about Oh, we got it both.
Yeah,
You got it in double.
Okay, yeah.
And so I'm just wanting to reiterate that this is a master's program, and students will require a bachelor's degree. And you mentioned it at the beginning, it has to be an equivalent of
Of a UBC four-year degree. So
UBC 4-year degree.
depending on where your institution is, there are some places in the world where a three-year degree is acceptable. UBC's graduate postdoctoral studies does have a page which will tell you, there's an international students guide where you can look up the country where you're taking your degree and check on what the requirements are there. You can find that at grad.ubc.ca. And it's a great website to find information about applying for graduate programs in general, as well as, specific questions that you might have. We did have a few people had some questions saying, they have a diploma and many years of work in the field.
Yeah.
You still, unfortunately, for a graduate level, 4-year degree is required. It's
If you have someone has, a 4-year program and a diploma, it appears that this person would have enough credits already to apply, but if you have a diploma and experience, which will be invaluable, but you don't have the equivalent of a bachelor's, then it won't be accepted.
Yeah, unfortunately, a master's program does
It
require.
appears, Sanjay, yes. It appears so. This is the question that I had. So this is the end of the first part of the session, and which is about program admission and logistics. There were also questions about scholarships, bursaries, and I know that we have had those in the past. The information that I have, and Vicky will corroborate or maybe provide more information, is that because this is a part-time and professional master's, there's no UBC bursaries or scholarships or financial aid.
No, unfortunately, UBC does not provide that type of funding for part-time programs. They're, depending on where you're located, there may be options for student loans. Again, part-time sometimes is problematic with that. BC does have some funding for professional development for early childhood educators. I'm not sure how much of that might be applicable towards a master's degree. Westcast, I believe, is the name of the organization. I've seen it's provincial funding, but it's very specific, and there's limited amounts. So you would say, do some searching on your area, check online.
Your organization, including with schools, I was able to, when I did completed my doctoral studies, I received assistance from my union. I was working as an elementary teacher here in Vancouver, as a resource teacher, and there was some money then. So you should check with your school districts. Also, I had a student years ago that applied through their own organization, which was related to early childhood and special needs. So there are some pockets there of money.
Sure,
Indigenous organizations,
Mm-hmm.
indigenous agencies also have may have funding. So it's worthwhile to inquire. So you cannot apply for a student loan here for
Not through UBC,
not through UBC,
unfortunately.
but that there may be other places. Also, in credit unions like Van City, for example, I know that they have offered these in the past at very low credit rates. Yeah, you're welcome. I know it is disappointing. It is disappointing.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, it's the same thing for international applicants. Someone has specifically asked about that. And somebody did ask about being a permanent resident, but in a different province in BC. The funding situation, you'd have to check in your local area.
In your local area.
It would still apply from UBC. If you are a permanent resident, if you're international now, that was one other question that somebody has come up with before. If you apply now as an international student and you receive permanent resident status, you can if you let UBC know, your fee payment will switch to the domestic fee payment. So that can happen partway through the program. So just so that you know, yeah.
Yes. I have more questions that I see, but they are more related to my component of the presentation. I'm just checking again. Um,
Yeah.
yes.
Did anyone else have any questions regarding the application process or et cetera, funding?
Yes, because the other questions also related to courses and to platform and to all of those I will be covering. Yes. Anything that got left from the beginning, because I remember that, was it Tasnim, who was saying, I think you were, there were a couple of people, I remember, that there was background noise and the typing and the muffled sounds. So,
I'm scrolling back. I'll take a
yeah,
look.
I lost because I had to relog, relog. Um,
I don't see any questions. It was
No
all
question.
related to sound and being able to see us.
So Shufan started work in a daycare center in September 2019, and I applied for September 2021. Yes, for September 2021, so next September you would have had your 2 years experience. So not for the 2020 cohort, you would be on 1 year, but for the 2021.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I do see one question that I think we missed.
Oh.
Naz Sabine had asked, if we don't have a UBC ID, then how do you apply? Did you say that? Okay.
Yeah, I said that when she gets accepted.
Well, it'll be, as soon as you apply.
As soon as you apply, you get your ID.
Yeah.
And Harman says, what scholarly paper means, can it be a major assignment? So a scholarly paper, so if you have a major assignment, then you don't need to go to this link that Vicky mentioned, with a specific topic where you write a scholarly paper, which will be similar to a short literature review. So a major assignment usually has a literature review component. But if you don't, then you would write like an essay around a topic, and which will be well supported by literature that connects with the topic and uses APA reference system, which is the one that we use here at UBC Faculty of Education.
Dominica, you've asked if you're applying or accepted, can you
You're
defer?
welcome.
There is an option to defer. You can defer up to 12 months. So say you accepted and you thought you were going to be able to start in September and something happened and you weren't going to be able to start this year, perhaps you had an illness or some change in situation, you could defer as far ahead as 2021. You could do January or September, but no more than 12 months. So if then you were not able to come in the following September, if you wanted to still join the program, you would have to reapply at that point.
I see some questions about career, and I'm going to answer them during my description of the program, Emily. So yes, and I have a few of them. Michelle is asking, how long would this scholarly article be? So it wouldn't really be an article, it would be more like an essay, or like the equivalent of a major assignment. So usually, major assignments, if you're writing papers in an undergraduate course, they're usually between 8 to 10 pages, double spaced, and with references. So think about those lines, like a brief 2-page reflection won't do but like a longer assignment where you have elaborated on a topic, that will do. And of course, I'm happy to see a sample of what you're having in mind in the meantime, just to make sure that you're going, more or less.
Yeah, we've suggested 500 words for the scholarly summary of the 2 articles we posted on the website. So you could use that as a basis. It could be longer, but I don't think you'd want to go any shorter than that, probably.
Patty, would an article written for ECEBC journal be considered a scholarly example? Yes, for ECEBC journal, yes. Just if you have any doubts, send it my way. And so Jay says statement of intent. Do you answer this? Statement of
I answer.
interest. If there any specific template do you guys want us to follow?
No, just again, the 500 word limit. As Mari mentioned in the beginning, the statement of intent is um, your chance to tell us about yourself and what you want to do in the program, why you want to take a program. So, um, you know, take your opportunity to put forward what you can there. The topic description, again, 500 words, you know, just telling us what you want. It's not an essay, but
Yes.
but you know, again, if you're citing something, then cite it, you know, properly, kind of thing.
Yeah, mention and make connections to what you have done, in your work, and how does this connect to your professional life or your family life, or personal or past experiences. So it is meaningful. So there's not a specific template. You just be, as clear and articulate as you can, and make sure that you check for, your writing, that it's intact in terms of your sentences, the way you construct your sentences, no typos, and any references that you could add. That always helps.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
I guess no one has anything, I see Tasman.
If someone comes in with another question later on, just for in the interest of time, we can
Yeah.
get started with the program, and then we'll have more time at the end. Yeah, so that was just a little summary, and off we go with the program. As you can see, it's going to be our 10-year anniversary, and we're planning to have a celebration. We start September 2020, and graduation is April. So the program goes to April 2023, and convocation is May 2023. I can see that some people are typing, so I will be able to follow up, with any of your queries. So the program, the title that we have given it is Issues in Early Childhood Research, Theory and Practice. And it's a program that does not hold a thesis requirement, because it's not a Master of Arts or MA, it's a Master's of Education. Hence, it's named as a professional master's. We do have, as a requirement for the online cohorts, an e-portfolio capstone project that provides, like, as I said at the beginning, a cumulative view of what you have learned through your journey in your master's. And it's a really exciting opportunity for students to very basically portray their learning in a different way, using an online, could be website or Wixi or blog. I won't elaborate on the e-portfolio in the information session. I can elaborate later on if people want. I can even send a few links. But it is a component. We really want to support, and we have for the past decade, early childhood professionals in broadening their current knowledge in early childhood education and related topics, because family and community are connected, with current research-based and theory-based and research-inspired practices. When I say that related areas, is that the great, I don't know, a great feature of our programs is that it attracts students from various backgrounds, not only locations, like you all are in different places, but we have early childhood educators working in different early childhood settings, but we have also program coordinators and managers, and someone working with social services or family services, or people in the health disciplines that are working with children and families. So it provides this space for a multiplicity of perspectives and training and formation. So we really want to keep connected to students and community interest, and we have that span that is birth to 8, with no particular focus on any age, the focus you provide. So if you're interested in the infancy and toddlerhood or more elementary, primary school years, then that would be your focus as you articulate your interests and as you progress with your different assignments. And this reflects the new BC Early Learning Framework. And I think it's also happening in other provinces like Ontario and Alberta. I know for sure that they're expanding, so it's not only from birth to kindergarten, but expanded all the way to the first years in the primary years. Um, so yes, it is exciting this way, and it is a professional master's program. As I said before at the beginning, if someone is thinking that they would like a more academic program, like a Master of Arts, where they have a thesis component, we don't offer this online. It's offered on campus, and think about it before you apply, because this is a slightly different program. This is a cohort-based program. That means that you begin together and hopefully you end together. There is a pre-established sequence that I will show, and you can see also in the link that I've provided there. It is one course at a time, except when you take electives and at the time you begin your e-portfolio project. So when you take your electives, at that point you will take two courses at the same time, a graduate course and an undergraduate course as your elective. You can also take a graduate elective course that there are several options. You could take it on a graduate on-campus course or through something called the Western Dean's Agreement that I will speak to it very soon. So that's the only time in the program where you take two courses at a time. And that's very important for you to know. There was a question about possibly taking courses for electives before beginning the program, and this is totally doable. We have had several students, some of them who have graduated and some of them completing the program, who have decided that they can only take one course at a time so that they take their electives first. Some of them take them through the summer institutes that Vicky mentioned, and I will also elaborate a little bit later on, which is great. You come here and you spend a week here in Vancouver and you take the course. Or you take them through the online offering of courses that we have. Would I recommend this? If your schedule is going to be very, very tight and you're organizing yourselves, it could be useful. What is a disadvantage? A disadvantage is that you will pay separately. So you will pay by credit. So whatever the course cost is by credit, you will have to pay when you register. Whereas if you take your electives with your program, then those are included in the installments that Vicky explained. In terms of the course content, it's a pretty multidisciplinary program. So each course has been written and conceived with the mind of this very multidisciplinary early childhood education perspective. So you have special needs and early intervention, you have social and emotional learning, you have social cultural perspectives, and so a different set of perspectives for each course. There was a question about someone wanting to, for example, focus on social and emotional and mental health, and the possibility for this is not that you're going to alter the courses this way, but your assignments, and at the end, when you get to your e-portfolio, you will make sure that every term your focus goes that way, and it will be supported through your instructor in terms of the literature that you explore. And as I said before, there is one course that focuses on social and emotional learning. I have a quote from one of the graduate students And speaking about the whole offering of the program being online, which mimics the on-campus program, right? When you get a degree at the end, you do get your Master's of Early Childhood Education and the certification that you get from, the President and Chancellor of UBC doesn't say online. It's exactly the same certification that you obtain for your Master's. But as an online offering, she says, this was an online program, but it proved to me that I can learn so much from it and from the ones I am interacting with, even if I never met them in person. Because some of the students never have the chance to meet others in person if they are in the very remote areas and can never come, but some of them do. So I will talk more about this. But there is a sense of community that is created in this program. So when we talk about multidisciplinary program, we're talking about these different departments being involved in our program. The first one is Language and Literacy in Education. So LLED 556 is the course about theory and practice in literacy in early education. Early childhood programs, ECED. Educational counseling, psychology, and special education, ECPS, and education, which is where the research methods in education sit. So you have also access to electives that come through those departments and programs. So you have like a menu where you can choose, an appetizer from here and a main course from there, and so on. Going back to the program, I think it was mentioned at the beginning that this program consists of 30 credits. Each course earns 3 credits. The last course is for the e-portfolio, the graduating e-portfolio, and it spans 2 semesters or 2 terms, but it only earns 3 credits. The reason why we make it longer is to make sure that people have enough time to begin when they're taking the last course, the last core course, and then to have one full term where they're only dedicating completing their e-portfolio. So 8 core courses and for 3 credits each, and then 2 electives of 3 credits each. The electives can be undergraduate at a 3 or 400 levels. And you have a website here with a link of what is the pool of credits that you can draw from to get these electives. And there's options. If you don't take them online through us, you can come, through here and in an on-campus course, and also you can do a summer institute. And then there's also the option of the Western Dean's Agreement, which is an agreement between universities where you can register. Once you're registered in a program here, you can register in a course there, and you don't pay extra because you pay through your installment, but you obtain your credit from that university and then send the transcripts here. I wouldn't worry about the Western Dean's Agreement right now because this is only happening once you are accepted to the program that you can explore the Western Dean's Agreement. So it's for later when we do the orientation session. Again, the degree obtained is a Master's of Education in Early Childhood Education, and we're parallel, the 2 programs. The only thing is that, as I said before, the on-campus, you can do it faster because you can take full-time credits, 3 or even 4. Some students have done even 4 courses with advice or permission, and may have some more electives options because they can, come here and just take from other departments that have other electives. So, but other than that, they are pretty similar. Many students have asked about opportunities following graduation. So, first of all, if you're in British Columbia, and you may also find out in your own province or state or country where you are, the teacher qualification services TQS provides a salary advance. So once you're graduated, you apply for this TQS, which places you in category 6, I believe. So this is an incentive for some people, and I would say it's a good time. It's a good one. Um, if you are in the school system, having an MEd allows you to apply to a senior administrative position, like a principalship or vice principal position. In general, people advance to senior administrative and professional levels in their own agencies or organizations. So all these positions for director or management that have been limited to those who with a master's degree, you can now apply. Finally, this program opens the door for those who are loving teaching or post-secondary education and would like to teach at a college or university. In fact, we have several of our graduates teaching some of the 300 and 400 level courses that are undergraduate, certificate, and diploma. So you wouldn't be able to teach at a 500 level without a PhD um, or an ND degree, but you are able to teach an undergraduate level course here, or you are able to teach basically any courses in a college. So this is an incentive for many who love the post-secondary teaching. And in some colleges where some people, because I have some of my students who already were professors in their own colleges, they are that requiring that their faculty has a master's program. So it's very timely. I have a couple of quotes, one from a current student completing the program and one who graduated. So the person who graduated said, thanks to my program, I got my ideal job, which was a leadership position in early literacy in her school district. And another student, without having completed the program, they were needing a college instructor, and this person says, you know, I am in this program and I am completing it next year, and this person got hired for to get started next year. So even before completing the program, she says it's paying off. So you know, these are in, I don't know, enticing uh, opportunities or examples of opportunities. So it also depends where you are located and what are their criteria. Some people say, will this, I have asked as well, will this program provide me with an early childhood certification? And the answer is no. And especially this is province linked and matched. So if you would like an early childhood certification, the recommendation is to go to your own province requirements on the website and take any requirements that they ask for certification. Now, if you have the certification and the master's, you are very competitive there for work. If you are in BC and you would like to know more about certification in BC, talk to us because with Vicky Domansky, yes, there are opportunities.
Yeah, we do offer a program for that.
Exactly. And you could be taking, you know, if depending on your workload, it's all on the consultation with your advisor, you could be taking the courses, you know, parallel. So it all depends on your workload and how are you doing. So, oopsies. I wanted to provide you like with an overview of how the program looks like. So we all begin in September. There have been some instances of for very explicit specific cases that granted us starting January, but they would have completed already the first course. So we all start in September with the Education 500 course, research methodology, which until now I have been teaching. And it continues with the next course in the winter, which is review of research in early childhood education, which Dr. Marlene Asling has been teaching. It was Dr. Iris Berger in the past and others, but right now it's Dr. Marlene Aslin, who is our amazing director program director. And then the summer term, which is May to August, this is different from any summer institute. This is the summer course term. So the year has 3 terms that are mandatory, and this is important for you to know. There's early childhood education, development, intervention, and inclusion in early childhood education with Dr. Lara El-Khatib, and that completes your first year. To then begin your second year with an advanced seminar on research in early childhood education, social cultural perspectives. And so I have 2 names there because Dr. Marlene Asselin has taught it before, and now Dr. Iris Berger has been teaching it more recently. And then, of course, this could change, from our pool of instructors in the different department, but this is what has been more recent. And then LLED 556 is a theory and research in early literacy, and Dr. Guofang Lee will be teaching it. It's a beautiful, beautiful course that is will be incorporating more and more of early literacy in the very early years, and not only in the preschool and elementary years. And then a very popular course in the core courses is supporting young children's social and emotional development in early childhood education. And Dr. Veronica Smith, who teaches at University of Alberta, has taught this course in the past. And from this point, it's like the Olympic Games, let the Olympic Games begin. We end the second year in the summer, and we start connecting for what do you need to get, prepare for your e-polio, because you begin your year 3 where you end and graduate. As a cohort advisor and instructor, I provide students with heads up about their e-portfolio from the very first term. But here I get like really serious. Okay, this is the time that you put things together. So we have your last 2 courses. Advanced Seminar on Research in Early Childhood Education, Leadership and Policy in Early Childhood Education, which is like the cherry on top, where you basically disrupt all your assumptions that you have had from before, and you begin the formal process of the e-portfolio in September that you continue and dedicate to it between January and April when you graduate. So in a whirlwind, this is the overview of the program, and there's no course substitution. So if you have, that some people ask as well, if you have had some courses before that you would like to substitute for these courses, we cannot do this unless it is the identical course, then in which case we have to go through a process of revision and approval, and it has to be taken within the past 5 years. So I say this because some people said, oh, I took a previous master's and I took this or that. We cannot build that into your program unless it is identical to one of these courses. And more will be coming when you get accepted, if you apply and get accepted in the orientation session. So this is the information session, so I don't want to go more in depth in that because it can be confusing. The elective courses, I touched on that before. You have a schedule there that shows you when they're offered. Again, you can try and take them as unclassified students prior to being admitted to a program, and I have had students who have been very successful in doing this, but you have to pay per credit. If you're interested in any of them, please let me know. And with just the lights were turned off automatically, must have a timer. Thank you, Vicky, because I shouldn't leave my post right now. But let me know if you're interested in any of these electives. And I'll offer on campus are courses that you will see in the course calendar. But also, you could think of the summer institutes that are generally 1 week or 10 days, usually offered. If they're shorter, they're offered the whole day. If they're longer, they're offered in the morning. And they are not posted yet for this year, but they will be very soon, around February. But you could see this link that I provided where you can see past summer institutes. The last one was on trauma, risk, and resiliency, working with young refugee children and families, which was a total success. Summer institutes can be taken Pro D, so you don't need to register as a UBC student. But if you're interested on the Summer Institute, in the Summer Institute as an elective to be put forward to your program, then you need to register as for credit. And you can take it as I said before, as an undergraduate course in the 400 or 300 level. Um, Yes, so anybody who's interested in doing something like this, consult with me and then with Vicky, and I will work it together. And then I have a quote from a student that she met a couple of students and then they became like great friends, even if they live in provinces, just by taking the Summer Institute. So some people like it so much that even when they have finished their electives, they come back and take another Summer Institute because it's a time to do that.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to add something about electives. If you are interested in doing, as Maria mentioned, about doing them in advance of your program starting as on Cloud, if you are planning to use those courses as part of your application
yes.
to beef up, like if you don't quite meet the requirement and you have those 18 credits in early childhood that you need to take, if the course credits are used as part of your application, they cannot be applied towards your program. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing those courses to get a jump on your electives, that's great, but they cannot impact on your application. They can be used for one, but not both.
I'm writing in here too. Courses for electives and not for application. It's called double dipping.
Yeah.
Dipping. Yeah, that's very important because some students think that they can do both and then this cannot happen. Okay, so so just save those and don't add it to the application. That's the rule of thumb. Here is again on the Western Dean's Agreement that I talked before, and um, I had students who have taken courses through the um, Dean's Agreement. One of them was in Edmonton, since there's someone from Edmonton, and they took an art course at the University of Alberta, and it was amazing and was surprised. I asked the student if I could share this, so that's why I am adding the information. I was surprised and really appreciated how I was able to apply this course to my own learning through art. And now the student is completing the e-portfolio, and some of these the content from these courses are coming in the e-portfolio, and it's just beautiful. It's really, really special. So again, I noticed that because the payments are in installments, you pay through installment at UBC, you don't need to pay elsewhere. You just need to make sure that the transcripts.
No, but there can be student fees or other fees that the institution may,
Okay.
The tuition would be covered.
Yeah.
There may be other fees.
They
That
may be
has
other-
come up a couple of times. Students have been surprised. Oh, I got, they're asking me to pay this amount of money. And it's like, well, that's not the tuition.
It's outside the tuition. So the course tuition is paid, but outside the tuition may not be paid. And it depends on every university, right?
Yes,
It's,
for sure.
yes. So that's for the credit transfer. Some people may have two additional courses that they do not put forward to their application and that they could qualify because they are in early childhood or they're early childhood related, and they have been taken within the past 5 years. If that is your case, and you want them to be applied to your electives, save them. Once you are admitted to the program, we will examine those to see, oh yes, this can be credited as an elective. It won't work as a core course, but as an elective, if they can be worked out or not. In general, it has worked for the ones that have been forwarded to us, but you will not mention them when you apply, but afterwards, and then see if they can be credited. It means you don't need to take electives, or you can take other electives just for the pleasure of doing so.
Yeah, the one thing about that, any courses that are transferred into your program cannot have been counted to another degree. So
Exactly.
if you say took a couple of early childhood related courses in your bachelor degree,
Yes.
and it's been counted towards completion of that, they can't be transferred to any other degree anywhere. It's a standard across all
It is a
institutions.
standard procedure for, yes, no courses taken towards other degrees can be transferred for electives. So that's a one to remember. Okay, so um, again, with the electives, the pool that we have online is quite extensive right now. Of course, not as extensive as if you were on campus because there's other options you can go on campus. But if some students are interested in adult education, some students are interested in counseling psychology in addition to early childhood. Other ones would like more on special education, home and economics, more on learning language and literacy, or student librarianship. So all of these links will take you to courses that could be an elective for you later on. And there's a quote from a student who took the homeschool and community relations, which was perfect in her role with a community program, and really connected it to her whole program. And now the student is, moving towards her final year. Um, so sort of moving along towards the final section of our presentation is how to make this happen and what is our commitment here on our behalf. So you know that you can count with a pool of instructors and with myself as a cohort advisor for support. There's academic follow-up. We have a whole team that we work together with Vicky, and we have of course, our program director, the director of the Institute of Early Childhood Education, a graduate student assistant, and our manager. And we work together to really make this happen in addition to the support of the ETS team that you met some of the members of the team below and the audiovisual team. So you have that type of online logistics and administrative support at all time. We know that learning online, it is exciting and attractive, and at the same time it can be a little bit on the lonely side, and sometimes you feel like inadequate or how come I cannot get to this. So you need to know that we're here to make this learning experience a beautiful, inspiring, and a practical one, so that you are not, like suffering alone. And always know that your question is the one of many. I always put here the requirements. We have had some students in the past who really wanted to connect to take this program online, but they are in remote areas or areas where they don't have a reliable internet. I would recommend, getting like a hotspot or, anything that can help, because with a choppy internet, in very colloquial language, or with a system that doesn't support, the different platforms. And in response to one of the questions, we use Canvas and Collaborate Ultra as our platforms. I believe are they still using Java, or did that change? It was used to be Java.
Yeah, I think Java may still be required.
Yes, so you need to have a laptop or desktop that allows you for this. Some students rely on their tablets or their phones, and I want to say that that would have you limited in features that you can apply, especially when you are submitting your own work, or also for communicating in a I don't know, speedy and efficient way. So you can use tablets who have all the latest features, or Android devices, or I don't know, iPhones. It can be used, but I wouldn't use it as the default, the default device. I would rely on a desktop or uh, um, a laptop. We also have a new system of communication called Mattermost Chat, which is like an online chat with instructors. Many courses are using it, and this can also be used through your devices. But yes, take this into consideration. So in the structure of, the scheme of structures of our program, we have a graduate academic advisor, and her name is Dr. Jennifer Shapka. And then when we have our graduate academic assistant in PDC, Vicky Domansky, and then we have the coordination of the PDC and ETS support that I mentioned before. And you also have access to IT support remotely. Of course, they cannot do anything for your personal computer or laptop, but they can assist you if it's related to the course access. I also wanted to give some feedback from graduate students, and I have some quotes because they also answer some of the interest that you had more about career and how to do this. I want to say with regards to the time needed that I usually recommend that for each credit you think of 3 hours per credit per week. So if you're taking 3 credits, a minimum of 9 hours per week is needed. And I'm saying a minimum because if you have assignments, if you have writing responses, if you're engaged in the discussion boards, it could be more than this. So you have to take into consideration the reading time, the processing time for you, and then the output time together with the interaction time. So this is a rule of thumb that 9 hours per week. I would say that at a master's level, it can be, between 9 and 11 hours per week. It also depends on many other factors: how fast you can read, how familiar you are with the content, how responsive the people with whom you're working are. And also in terms of another question that came, it's online the whole time when we're doing these courses. You don't need to be connected at the same time. It's asynchronous, but we come together in collaborative sessions like these ones, but we record them so that if you cannot be a part of them, you can follow up on them at your own convenience. When you work in small groups, you agree when to connect and when to meet. But it generally works because it's done on their own students' pace and time. But having said this, one question was regarding also your own pace. Yes, your own pace in terms of the timing of the responses, that they don't have to be right away, but there are deadlines, and there is a chronogram, and there is a timeline because we do follow the UBC calendar. Okay. So it cannot be that you take one course and it takes you, 3 semesters or 2 semesters. Only in extreme circumstances, we allow for some extension. The other part that was mentioned also with regards to the timing, um, so at some point, if someone experiences hardships or that a medical health issue, family issue, having babies, you may need a leave of absence, and this is possible with previous application. And Vicky would be the person to contact, and you can take it up to 2 semesters, right? So like
12 months is the
12
maximum.
12 months is the maximum.
But there are extensions, parental leave. Obviously, if you have more than one child, you could have, additional leaves for that. But
Exactly.
at the master's level, it's usually 12 months.
12 months, and and then you come back. Regrettably, we may need to be juggling in, the semesters because we follow a predetermined sequence like you saw. But it is possible, and it has happened, and life happens. So you need to know this. So quotes from student in year one: I enjoy learning from the readings, teachings of the professors, and the writings of my classmates, and getting to know my classmates from across the country. I also relish stretching myself in ways unimaginable to achieve these goals of earning an MED. And this stretching, I have heard this before, like, oh my goodness, this is hard, but I love it. And, like I never imagined that I could, get to this level of thinking or think this way. So it's very inspiring. Someone speaking to the group discussion and how it plays a crucial role in the whole cohort of the program. It's a wonderful way for us to understand each other's perspective. We do so through the discussion board, but some courses have blogs instead. within the whole campus, which is really nice. What I'm finding so wonderful about these discussions is how they provide the opportunity to view things from multiple perspectives. So this is someone who is discovering in year one, in year two. I find I have changed areas of interest throughout this program. So maybe what you had in your statement of interest or statement of intent shifts, and that has happened a lot. So you don't leave things behind, but you incorporate other things, which is very exciting. And then she says, each course inspires me. In year three, this program has been a wonderful experience and has verified the importance of time management and colleague support. I enjoy learning from the readings, teachings of the profs, and the writings of my classmates and getting to know my classmates from across the country. I are also really stretching myself. Oh, this one, I ended up copying the second part in the same part. This was a mistake in my copying and pasting. And finally, I just cut this. A graduate from the cohorts, I found my inner advocate. I know that the conference will be rejuvenated because we have a Spark graduating student conference where students present. And so this person was presenting and it was a total success. Even more excited to reconnect with her early childhood cohort. So looking forward to following with more questions and queries. The information is here for us and to respond to what you need. And I also have a Skype address if you would like to Skype with me that I'm writing here on the chat. And yes, any comments or questions, this is the time to do it. And if something comes later on, you can email or phone.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me see if I see
Did you
anything else.
mention exams?
Oh, someone did ask about the exams. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, the there are no exams in this program. All of our courses are based on assignments, so there are no assignment, yes assignments, no exams, and all the terms follow the UBC calendar. So January to April, May to August, September to December. Um, what type of doctorate programs? So MED doesn't prepare students for a doctoral program. Having said this, we have a few MED students who have then been challenged to go one more step and have looked into EdDs or PhDs and have applied to specific programs where they found there could be a fit, and they have been accepted conditionally, and having completed their requirements, then they have been accepted. So that is a possibility, but we don't portray this program as one that is a research-based and that will lead you to a PhD. But if you're interested, just let's see what happens after you finish. The job prospects um, I have answered to that. Accommodations, if you need special accommodations as a student, we have the Center for Accessibility, and I encourage anybody who requires any um, accommodation with extensions for assignments or any other support. They will make it possible. For example, they have provided support for hearing with a captionist for our courses, or any flexibility for assignment submission once you're registered with them, which is totally private and confidential. Then they let you know that there's a student that will be contacting me or an instructor, and that student needs to send a letter and saying, I am registered here and these are the type of accessibility options I need. Because you don't come to class physically here, you don't have the benefits of accessibility on campus, but you have whatever is provided online. So that was a very good question. I want to say that I am very supportive of my students if I see that someone is not really, they're missing in action or not showing up, because we can see through the online who is contributing or not. There is like this data analytics that we can see, the student has been connecting or not connecting. And so there's something called early alert that I subscribe, and then they try to provide support in whatever way they can online. Um, I think you cover all of the costs. I like that they say any hidden costs. I think there's no hidden costs. Yes. So, yes, for anybody in infant, toddler, early childhood, or early elementary, there is a space for them here. And in the infant, toddler certificate program that is now being, I don't know if there will be courses that will also be available later on for electives. So we shall see about this, as we're also expanding our programs with an infant, toddler certificate coming for next year. So this is it. Any comments or questions? I know it's getting pretty late for some of you. Um, if you want to um, add your comments to us here, what is it that motivates you to apply? That would be great if you enter that in the chat box. So
Or, always feel free to email us at our main email address. Was on the previous slide as well.
Yes.
But,
exactly, yes, to write to. And I enter some of the ones that who have been interested before. Someone was inspiring Radio Inspired teaching. Others were inspired because of their own children and their struggles. And someone coming from a place of turmoil. So those are students who have applied in the past. I see Mazabin says, in
Yeah.
regards to the reference, I have been out of school for about 5 years. So if we're getting professional reference, how many do we need if we cannot do the educational references?
well, it's 3 references total.
Yeah,
It's preferred to have one academic if possible, just to provide some insight into, how they feel that you would handle graduate level coursework. But if you're not able to, you can do 3 professional. Um,
and one of them should speak to their capacity in, in scholarly writing, in following up, with
Yeah.
sort of like a more academic pursuit. I see that Laura is typing. Thanks for this. I'm in Newfoundland, getting a little bit sleepy. I'm really looking forward to thinking academically again. I forgot how much I miss scholarly writing. Oh, that's wonderful, Laura. Have a good night. And yes, and thank you, Mazaline. Thank you. I hope that we answered everything. If we didn't fully, please, first of all, for us, and number two, please write to us. Oh, yes, I see an important one here. You see, it keeps saying the specific to British Columbia. The courses are not specific to British Columbia. We may use some documentation through the BC Early Learning Framework, but we invite students to bring their own documentation from their own province or country as well as a place of comparison. But the courses you can totally apply. In fact, we have students from basically all the provinces, or we have had in the past 10 years. And also we have students, in the Caribbean, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in Asia, in, I don't know, in Europe. So I think I named all in Australia. So
Related to
yes.
that is the time zone change difference.
See that we're time different, for example. So there's no exams. And as I said, so in terms of the deadlines, of the time difference. So all the deadlines are in PST, which is Pacific Standard Time, so that if you know that ahead of time, there shouldn't be any problem. For people who are like 15, 18 hours away or 9 hours away, if an assignment comes in and the computer marks it late for this time, but we know where the student is located, if it's because there would be like hours difference, that wouldn't be penalized because you know what is happening. And if not, you can always remind the instructor. So yes. So thank you to Mazabin and Shufang and Dominica and Tasnim. And yes, I would stop the recording, but maybe there's one more question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tasnim and Jacinta. Any other comments? Any comments? Yeah, it doesn't have to be a question.
Do we want to stop the recording?
I think we can stop the recording now. This recording will be uploaded on the website and on the slides as well. Thank you, Sanjay.